An Eastern Kentucky man who lost his life during a heroic act could be receiving a national award. Now his father wants him remembered.
Governor Bevin's proposed cuts in the state budget have many court workers in Kentucky very concerned how they say the cuts could affect them.
I can't think of the words to describe it.
What a Central Kentucky school did to help a family going through a very difficult time.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good evening. Some frightening moments for a group of Madison County students this afternoon. They were at the U.S. Capitol in Washington when it went on lockdown after someone fired shots. Police say they soon shot the gunman.
No one from the Madison Middle School group was injured. Our Kristen Kennedy talked to school leaders a short time ago. She's at the live desk for us with the breaking details. Kristen?
Amber, there were 43 Madison Middle School students inside the Capitol with 7 adult chaperones, and we just talked to one of those adults. She says they were waiting for their scheduled tour to begin when guards began yelling and told them to drop to the ground. She says guards ushered their group into a theater. They spent about 30 to 40 minutes in there calling parents and letting them know they were safe. She told us guards briefed them on everything that was happening at the time and that the students acted perfectly in the chaotic situation.
And then their voice had changed, and at that point I knew something was going on, and at that moment everybody kind of started running down the stairs to the bottom floor of the Capitol, and that's when they said to take cover and to duck. So when everybody dropped at that point, I think that was probably the most intense part.
The lockdown has been lifted, but the visitor center remains closed. The Madison County group is leaving D.C. at their regularly scheduled time tomorrow. They will not get a chance to tour the Capitol. At the live desk, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Kristen, thank you. Glad they're all okay. Well, he lost his life while trying to save his family during a flash flood. Now, nearly 9 months later, a Johnson County man is a finalist for a national award for his heroic efforts. Scott
Johnson died last July while trying to rescue his grandmother from a flooded home in Johnson County. He's being considered for a medal from the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission. Today, Mike Linden talked with Johnson's father. That's our top story at 6.
It's been nearly 1 year since the devastating flash flooding in Johnson County killed 4 people. Now one of those people, Scott Johnson, is being nominated for an award for his courageous act to save his grandmother's life.
I hollered at him. I told him, I said, Scott, you'll never make it. And he looked back at me and he said, I'm getting that all out of that trailer.
Kevin Johnson lost more than his home last July. He lost his son, Scott, and his mom, Willa Mae.
Mom was like a mother to him, you know, and I worked long hours and strip mines, and she pretty well raised him.
Johnson says when the floodwaters came, he panicked, but Scott didn't.
And the water kind of swept me away, and he grabbed a hold of me, and he gave me one of these shoves, which you grab somebody and just shove them.
Scott saved his dad's life, then waded through the water to get to the trailer he shared with his grandmother. That was the last time his dad saw him alive.
He stepped on the porch. He had time to take about 2 steps inside her trailer, and her trailer it came up, but it didn't come toward us. It done a complete turnaround and disappeared.
Both Scott and Willa Mae were both found dead days later. For his heroic acts that night, Scott has been nominated for an award from the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission. His dad says Scott deserves it.
What he did, if it doesn't fit the bill, I don't know what would.
In Johnson County, Mike Linden, WKYT.
The Carnegie Hero Fund Commission leaders say it will take several months for them to decide who will win that award.
Today, a man admitted he played a role in a Morgan County murder nearly 2 years ago. Christopher Payton entered a guilty plea for the shooting death of Randy Williams. Payton's mother was also charged in the case, and as Victor Puente tells us, Payton's guilty plea means his mother will spend less time in prison.
This guilty plea included a sentencing recommendation for Christopher Payton's mother. She was charged along with him and a third person in 2014. Guilty, yes ma'am, and no ma'am were the only words Christopher Payton spoke as he pleaded guilty earlier today to murder and tampering with physical evidence. He admitted to killing and shooting 33-year-old Randy Williams in October of 2014. He also made a deal with prosecutors to reduce the time his mother would spend in prison. Kimberly Payton was charged with facilitation to murder and tampering with physical evidence.
In exchange for the agreement, the offer provides that the Commonwealth will extend an offer of 5 years on the charge of facilitation to murder, a Class D felony, and 5 years on the charge of tampering with physical evidence, a Class D felony, to your co-defendant, Kimberly Payton, who is your mother.
As for Payton, prosecutors recommended a 25-year sentence for him, meaning he won't be eligible for parole until he serves at least 20 years in prison. According to court records, the third person charged in this case, Michael Ferguson, pleaded guilty last year to tampering with physical evidence and facilitation to murder. Those same records say his 5-year sentence was probated in exchange for his testimony against any of his co-defendants. In Morgan County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Christopher Payton's final sentencing is scheduled for April 25th.
New tonight, a man faces many charges after police say he tried to run over a Pulaski County constable. According to an arrest citation, the constable and 2 state troopers were called to Coal Bank Road Saturday night for a report of someone cooking meth. The constable says he spotted 21-year-old Jacob Adams in a car and tried to stop him, but the constable says Adams sped toward him and he had to jump out of the way to avoid being hit. Police started chasing him. They say Adams later hit a car and nearly hit some other people. He was later arrested and charged with attempted murder, wanton endangerment, and fleeing or evading.
Tonight, lawmakers in the Kentucky House and Senate are still trying to reach a compromise on a state budget. As we told you at 5:30, the two sides haven't been able to agree on the nearly $600 million in cuts Governor Bevin has proposed to make up for the state pension shortfall. Those cuts could have a major impact on Kentucky courts. Hundreds of court workers could even lose their jobs. As Mark Barber tells us, millions in extra resources have also been cut from the public defender's office, and that's creating major financial concerns in our courts.
Your Honor, Ms. Watson wishes to enter a plea.
If you want to keep up with Shannon Brooks' English,
the pace sometimes is hectic.
You might just have to run.
Each public defender has anywhere between 80 to over 100 cases at any one given time.
She's a directing attorney with the Public Defender's Office. She represents people on the wrong side of the law who can't afford a private attorney.
Without public defenders, people are not going to be treated equally. People are going to get funneled into prison and just be left there.
It's not a glamorous job. English says the pay is often far lower than what public defenders in neighboring states make. The hours can also be brutal. 100-hour work weeks aren't unheard of.
I know that there's clients on my caseload that need to see me and need to talk to me. You know, there's people out at the jail that need to talk to me. And so it's just a matter of doing as much as you can.
Chris Tracy, a directing attorney in Lexington's Public Defender's Office, says private attorneys might work an average of 20 cases at one time.
My caseload right now is about 140.
Tracy says their cases pile up to unbelievably high numbers because they take on their colleagues' cases whenever they leave. With low pay, heavy caseloads, and long hours, turnover can be high.
Judge, I have number 18, Fred Nutter.
Every time a public defender takes on a case for someone who quits, they have to get up to speed. That means it takes much longer for the case to make its way through court, and that slows down the entire judicial system.
Cases stay open longer, the dockets get bigger, you know, the courts go longer, and then, you know, it perpetuates itself.
It's a cycle that's burdening the courts, and it appears the system won't find relief anytime soon.
We're disappointed.
Public advocate Ed Monahan says his public defenders were devastated last week when lawmakers shot down Governor Matt Bevin's proposal to spend more than $6 million to bring in 44 new public defenders.
It is very challenging now to be in a position where we don't have that funding.
The rest of the judicial system is now bracing for more bad news because they could get hit with a steep 9% spending cut.
What I'm concerned about is whether or not our courts are going to be opened.
Judge Kim Wilkie worries courts will have to close to offset the projected loss of 600 court jobs.
My understanding is from Chief Justice Minton that courthouses may have to close for 2-3 weeks. We've got a heroin court. We've got about 5 or 6 different divisions of drug court. We also have a mental health court. Those will probably, my guess is, not be able to be funded.
Court administrators describe the proposed cuts as catastrophic. They're scrambling to figure out how they will absorb the damage if the budget doesn't change. On the other hand, Monahan hopes it will change. He says the public defender's office needs more money to bring in more attorneys so they can do the best job possible for their clients.
We could get to cases quicker, less frustration by the judges, cases resolved quicker, victims are more satisfied.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Like everyone else in the judicial system, English and Tracy are waiting to see what will survive the budget battle in Frankfurt.
Hope for the best is basically all we can do.
It's not a perfect system.
Things need to change.
And there isn't a perfect solution. Lawmakers have until the end of the General Assembly on April 15th to decide what happens next. In Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
The House and the Senate's self-imposed deadline gives them until midnight to agree on the budget. Public defenders are in the Capitol now asking lawmakers to restore the millions of dollars that were cut from their funding.
Graduation came early for a student in Bergen. How the school made it happen to help his family next.
And we're dealing with some cooler temperatures out there today, especially when compared to the weekend, but we are going to go up some. It won't last forever. We'll track all of it coming up for you.
When big news breaks, be the first to know. Download the WKYT News app and turn on push alerts. Breaking news at your fingertips when you need to know what's going on. Push alerts, now available on the WKYT News app.
The Lexus Command Performance Sales Event is on, with extraordinary offers on our most powerful performance line ever. Lease the 2016 IS 300 all-wheel drive for $339 a month for 36 months, and we'll make your first month's payment. See your Lexus dealer.
If you've been denied VA benefits, visit forthepeople.com or call 1-800-MORGAN-LAW so we can help you with your appeal. Morgan & Morgan, for our veterans.
Life gets better the older you get, and time becomes more valuable. Time to spend with family, time to try new things, time to have fun. At Kroger, you can have your prescriptions filled while you shop, so it's easy to save money and time with your Kroger pharmacy. And you can get back to the things you love.
It's easy to manage all of your family's prescriptions all online. Order refills, view prescription history, and more. Visit Kroger.com/myprescriptions today.
19 pool tables and a full bar. Only at Silver Q on New Circle Road.
For one weekend only, the Lexington Center is transformed into the biggest home and gardening event of the year, the Central Kentucky Home and Garden Show.
Find contractors, remodelers, kitchen and bath, flooring, landscaping and outdoor living. Discover the latest inventions and smart products in the new product zone. Learn painting tips and tricks from Brian Santos, the Wall Wizard. And meet Jeff Lewis, interior designer and star of Bravo's hit TV show, Flipping Out.
Find it all at one amazing show, the Central Kentucky Home and Garden Show.
When you play Kentucky lottery games like 5-Card Cash, college students all over Kentucky are dealt a winning hand.
Fueling imagination.
Funding education.
This is what precision feels like. Magnetic Ride Control actively monitors road conditions 1,000 times per second to deliver a comfortable ride.
1,000 times, huh?
Yep, per second.
How about that?
This is the new, meticulously crafted 2016 Sierra Denali from GMC. This is the precision of professional grade. Now during the GMC Pro Grade event, get nearly $8,300 total value when you trade up to the specially equipped 2016 Sierra Crew Cab SLT.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you. Follow WKYT on Twitter.
The Lexus Command Performance Sales Event is on, with extraordinary offers on our most exciting lineup of SUVs ever. Lease the 2016 NX200 Turbo for $349 a month for 36 months, and we'll make your first month's payment. See your Lexus dealer.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
It is that time of year. High school graduations are coming up soon, and they're always huge moments for any family.
Oh, yeah, but for one family in Bergen, things are tough right now. And the school system there is doing everything they can to make it special for them. Here's their story. Springtime in your senior year of high school is pretty special. For Jeremiah Goranson, there are a lot of changes coming.
I will be missing this school so much, I'm gonna probably cry.
His mom, Chris, says the people here have made a huge impact.
And Jeremiah is a wonderful example of what a small school can do.
So, of course, that spring graduation ceremony will be huge for them, but that's the problem.
And I was disappointed that I would miss it because there's several events that you know, you want to be a part of, and it doesn't look like I'll be able to be a part of it.
Time is the enemy.
For my mom, she's dying.
Chris is suffering from cancer, stage 4.
There's nothing they can do. Chemo's no longer effective, and so I'm under hospice care now and just making the best of every day.
So right here in the school gym, the Bergen Independent staff decided to help make the very best of last Wednesday.
I can't think of the words to describe it. It was just such a gift.
The administration decided to shift graduation just a bit, at least for Jeremiah and his parents. In front of the whole school, Jeremiah lettered in music and hit that big graduation milestone a few weeks ahead of time.
It's such a blessing. It gives me gives me a lot of peace.
For a family hanging on to each moment that comes their way, there aren't many more special than this one right here. And Jeremiah says he may return to school next year for 14th grade to learn more life skills.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
A lot chillier out there today. Temperatures were in the low 70s yesterday. Today, we're in the low and mid 50s. A cold front blasted through the area last night. So the chill hangs out for us again tonight. Let's track it in some of our headlines here as we are moving forward in the forecast. But we do get a little bit warmer for midweek. Warmer as in temperatures are going to go right back into some of those very comfortable levels that we just had. Look at this. This is a look ahead to your Wednesday and the hour-by-hour run of our temperatures. And you see upper 60s, low 70s creeping into the area. Just a fantastic little time period around here. But it's also going to feed the storm potential for Thursday. That warm, juicy air will give us a better chance of showers and thunderstorms on Thursday. Not today, though. We're up to 56 degrees in Lexington because, again, we're seeing a little sunshine out there, a little more getting through the clouds, so it's warmed the thermometers up around here. Where the clouds have been thicker all day long, a little bit lower. 5, 6 degrees, depending on the exact location there. Maysville into Covington, 51 and 50 degrees. All around this area of high pressure. You see it pumping in that northerly wind. That's behind that front. The front rolled on through, so now we're tapping into the cooler air. But notice, you get down at Paducah, Bowling Green, low 60s are still showing up in those locations. We're just not getting in on that. Here's that cloud cover I mentioned. Brighter the white, or the more organized it looks, that means the cloud cover is thicker. And you find that from Covington all the way to Ashland. It becomes a little more broken beyond that. You get more toward the south all the way into parts of Madison County, and cloud cover is not quite as thick or as widespread. Clear skies across southern and parts of eastern Kentucky. Again, all immediately behind that front with the clouds lingering in the area. High pressure gets on the move tonight and will keep us clear and quiet all night long, allowing for temperatures to dip into the mid-30s, it looks like. As the high escapes and gets to the southeast, southerly wind picks up, and we are right back in those upper 60s, low 70s for your Wednesday. But as I mentioned, it feeds the moisture into our next system, and we start breaking out into some showers very early on Thursday, just past midnight as we get into the day. And then you see more rounds of showers, even some thunderstorms with the front itself as it's tracking across Kentucky through your Thursday. And even on the backside of it, some moisture lingers on Friday. So as we get into Wednesday, you see that we're just pumping that nice southerly wind, warm air in place. But notice off in the distance what we have coming at us. It's another temperature swing. It gets close on Thursday, but once the front itself finally gets through, there you see what it delivers. It delivers that cooler air. So mild temps, they're going to hold steady all the way up until Thursday and even on Thursday, But then highs will drop somewhere between 15 to 20 degrees yet again. Here comes our 7-day forecast, which features all of that. And that bigger swing really takes full impact by the time we are into your Saturday. So enjoy your Tuesdays. We're close to 60, and Wednesday as well, as those clouds start to increase before the rain gets here again. So not bad, at least the next couple of days, guys.
Yeah, sounds like spring anyway.
Sounds like
Usual
spring.
Up and down.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Well, for the Cats, spring practice resumes tomorrow morning.
Yes, it does, and the start of a new season can't come soon enough for one Wildcat receiver. And a familiar face to fans in Kentucky and around the SEC, introduced down in Bowling Green. What is he planning for the Toppers? Sports is next.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 104.5 The Cat.
At Gates Honda in Richmond, our grand opening will be low-key. No hot dogs, balloons, loud music, no gorillas. We have great deals waiting for you on over 100 new Hondas. At Gates Honda in Richmond, we sell new Hondas for less because we can.
There are two camps of DQ S'mores Blizzard lovers, Camp S'mores and the new Camp Oreo S'mores. Camp S'mores, Camp Oreo S'mores, Camp S'mores, Camp Oreo S'mores, Camp S'mores, Camp Oreo S'mores. A camp for the traditionalist and a camp for the adventurous. Which s'mores camp will you be in? Try the s'mores and new Oreo S'mores Blizzard treat today. This is fan food, not fast food.
Let's put winter behind us and get out there in a new 2016 Go Anywhere Subaru with symmetrical all-wheel drive. Right now, own a new 2016 Forester for only $23,980 or lease it for just $224 per month. Or own a new 2016 Legacy for only $24,490 or lease it for just $230 per month. Discover why Quantrell is Kentucky's #1 sales volume Subaru dealer for the last 4 years. Come into Quantrell today for a great deal on a new Subaru during the Subaru Love Spring event.
Established in 1841, Hill & Myers is a local 6th-generation family-owned business. Our company has evolved over the years from a wholesale nursery to design build to commercial and equine maintenance. Now, Hill & Myers offers Weedman lawn care fertilization and weed control for your home, bringing together the long tradition with the best products to give you a lush, weed-free emerald green lawn. Weedman, we care for your lawn. Visit weedmanusa.com to request a free estimate today.
I love grocery shopping at Kroger, but sometimes life gets busy.
So I use ClickList. It's easy. I just order online. And with thousands of great items and fresh food to choose from,
I can get what I want the way I want it, then pick up my order at the store without ever leaving my car.
And for me, that's a game changer.
Order online, pick up curbside at store. We think you're gonna love ClickList. Try it now at Kroger.com/ClickList.
I have to like my doctors. I've got to feel like they have a personal interest in me. Not that I'm a basketball coach, but that I'm somebody they know and they are concerned about. I could go any place for my medical care, but I chose Danville and the Ephraim McDowell Medical Center.
A trusted leader in heart care, Ephraim McDowell Regional Medical Center, where excellence is our only standard.
At Gates Honda in Richmond, we want to service your Honda, regardless of where you bought it. We believe that once you've experienced our service department, you'll never go anywhere else to service or purchase your Honda. Come see us at Gates Honda on the Bypass in Richmond.
Tonight, the Morehead State Eagles look to take the first of 2 steps to win the CBI tournament, Game 1 at home against Nevada. For the first time in the history of the program, the Eagles have won 3 postseason games after the OVC tournament. To make even more history, Morehead State must defend a rather unique Wolfpack team.
Well, you know, they're a team that wants to take you off the bounce. They have big guards. You know, everybody can handle it 1 through 5, so we got to guard, you know, and they crash the boards and very athletic. So we just got to be us and continue to defend, play tough basketball, rebound it, and also pose our will on them from an offensive rebounding standpoint.
A best 2 out of 3 for the CBI championship. 8:30 tonight on ESPNU. Games 2 and 3, if necessary, are in Reno later this week. Kentucky point guard Tyler Ulis has now picked up 3 of the 4 recognized All-America honors after being named to the National Association of Basketball Coaches' second team today. The Associated Press is the fourth and final All-America team, which has not yet been released yet. That will determine if he is a consensus All-American. Now, the women's AP team is out. Michaela Epps is an honorable mention All-America selection. This is the second year in a row for Epps that she has earned that honor. This season, she averaged 17 points, 4.5 assists, and almost 5 rebounds per game. Rick Stansbury is back in Kentucky. The Meade County native introduced this afternoon as the new coach at Western. Stansbury spent 22 years at Mississippi State, 14 as head coach of the Bulldogs. For the last 2 seasons, he's been an assistant at Texas A&M. His plan is to put Western back in the national spotlight.
As time moves on, we're going to upgrade this schedule. Hey, we got to do some things nationally. Hey, we're not coming here to play some schedules we've been playing. I want to schedule some trips, Madison Square Garden, Battle of Atlantis, where you guys can be a part of things, man. Go play on that national scene.
Mark Stoops will have his football team back on the practice field again tomorrow morning as spring practice goes on. The Cats were seriously disappointed with the way last season ended with 6 straight losses. Next season is still better than 5 months off, but receiver Blake Bone is ready to get things going.
Man, I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm rejuvenated. I feel like this off season has been too long already. Just because the standards we have and the ability we have in the receiver room. I mean, 5 and 7, I guess it is what it is. But we know we're so much more better than that. And as far as like from the offensive side of the ball, drops, techniques, route running, getting off releases, I mean that should be no more worries. I think this year we should just take off and do what we know how to do.
Herb Sendek reportedly close to being named head coach at Santa Clara, and Racel Iglesias, 1 week from today, will be the Reds' opening day starter against the Phillies.
Rob, thank you. A final check of your First Alert forecast is next.
Then on the CBS Evening News, Georgia's governor has vetoed a controversial bill after major corporations threatened to boycott the state if he signed it.
WKYT's First Alert weather follows you wherever you go, on TV, online, on your phone, and throughout the day on 104.5 The Cat.
You may be entitled to $1,500 for each call you've received from any company collecting a debt. Seems too good to be true, but it's the law.
Hi, checking out the RAV4?
Yep, looking for something fun.
Well, with available Sport Tune suspension, you can turn any trip into an awesome adventure.
Yeah! Errands!
Aren't they the best?
It's the final days of Toyota's One for Everyone sales event. Get 0.9% financing on the adventurous 2016 RAV4. Or lease one now for just $199 a month.
Have fun running those errands.
Toyota, let's go places.
At Window World, you get the best price right up front.
Our windows feature the Good Housekeeping seal
and come with a lifetime limited warranty.
Act now and get a house full of windows for as low as $79 a month installed.
Window World, simply the best for less.
The AOP has had its eye on her for quite some time. We were just waiting for the right moment to move in. The vibe was anything but playful.
Go. Okay.
We knew we had to move in fast, but there was a crowd, so we had to play it cool. This is where the years of training paid off. We got the scratch-off ticket to her in the nick of time. We're agents to play, man. People think this job is all fun and games, but we take our fun seriously. That's what being an agent of play is all about.
Thank you.
Just doing our job.
Put a little play in your day with scratch-offs from the Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education.
We're pleased to announce that we now have Honda in Richmond, which means you can shop and compare the 4 leading brands all in one location. So where else can you shop and compare the 4 best brands, be only minutes from Fayette County, work with one salesperson, and only have to have your car appraised once? For your convenience, out of respect for your time, we now offer Gates Honda, Gates Hyundai, Gates Nissan, and Toyota South, all on the bypass in Richmond.
Do you want to lose weight quickly and safely? Do you want to be healthy for a lifetime? Kim did and lost 238 pounds at Ageless Medical Weight Loss. Betty did and lost 135 pounds. The Ageless program is a medically supervised, affordable weight loss solution. Call today for a free consultation.
The all-new Big M Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is changing the automotive industry in Central Kentucky forever. Introducing lifetime warranty. It doesn't end after 10 years. It doesn't end after 100,000 miles. And is available at no extra cost. 100% parts, 100% labor, zero deductible forever. Visit BigMSuperstore.com. Shop the area's largest selection of quality vehicles, all with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Only at the all-new Big M Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Visit BigMSuperstore.com.
The Castle, twice the jewelry.
Half the price.
Case Half Carat Best Friend True Love Rings at $9.95. At the Castle, get the same quality, same carat weight rings for only $5.95. Shop 10 Castle locations.
When big news breaks, be the first to know. Download the WKYT News app and turn on push alerts. Breaking news at your fingertips when you need to know what's going on.
See those little bit of blue skies out there tonight. You think, oh, it's a great night, but it's pretty chilly out there.
Yeah, when you start to clear the skies up after you had a front like that go through, it's really going to get chilly out there tonight. Probably end up in the mid-30s in many locations as we start your Tuesday. But we also begin to warm up some during the daytime hours at least. We're close to 60 tomorrow, close to 70 on Wednesday, and then we're going to do all of this again with another chance to rain on Thursday, guys.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks so much to you for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here tonight at 11.
Have a good one.